One of these AR-15 brands lost its military contract because soldiers stopped trusting it in combat. Another just landed in a courtroom fighting for its life. The brand at number 1 builds every rifle like a Navy SEAL might carry it tomorrow. 10 brands ranked worst to best, starting right now. Number 10 is Rock River Arms. 20 years ago, Rock River Arms was a name every serious shooter respected. If you competed in NRA high power or CMP service rifle matches, a Rock River National Match rifle was a trusted choice. Shooters could take one straight out of the box to the firing line and expect real accuracy. That reputation was earned the hard way, through consistent performance on the range when it mattered most. But something changed. Over the last several years, shooters across online forums and gun communities started noticing a pattern. Chambers cut poorly, bolt extensions with rough machining, two-stage triggers that would fail at the worst possible moment. These were not isolated complaints from one unhappy customer. They came from experienced shooters who had trusted the brand for years and started seeing the quality slip. The company never lowered its prices to match cheaper competitors, and it never fully explained the quality control issues that kept coming up. Shooters who once defended the brand started walking away, not because one bad rifle showed up, but because the reports kept repeating across different buyers and different years. That kind of pattern is hard to ignore once you see it enough times. Today, Rock River Arms still exists. They still sell rifles, and some shooters who own one report no problems at all. But ask anyone who was into ARs a decade ago what happened to Rock River, and you will hear the same answer. They used to be great, and something happened along the way. Newer companies entered the market with tighter manufacturing processes and better pricing, and Rock River never fully adjusted. In a market flooded with better options at similar prices, Rock River Arms sits at the bottom of this list, not because every rifle they make is bad, but because the trust that took decades to build has been slipping away one complaint at a time. Number 9 is Bushmaster. Bushmaster has one of the most complicated stories in the entire AR-15 industry. Before 2006, Bushmaster built a strong reputation. Rifles from that era are still respected by collectors and shooters who own them. The company built solid guns with steel barrels and chrome lining for durability. Then Wall Street got involved. In 2006, a private equity firm called Cerberus Capital Management bought Bushmaster and folded it into a larger group of gun companies alongside Remington. What followed was years of corporate cost-cutting. Shooters who bought Bushmaster rifles during this period reported canted front sights, rough finishes, and loose tolerances that never should have passed inspection. Ask around any long-running gun forum, and you will hear the same pattern repeated by different owners across different years. Rifles from before the buyout get consistent praise. Rifles from during the Freedom Group years bring out the horror stories. The brand that once stood for quality became a cautionary tale about what happens when a manufacturing company gets treated like a spreadsheet instead of a workshop. The parent company eventually filed for bankruptcy in 2020, and Bushmaster stopped production entirely. For a while, it looked like the name was gone for good. Then in 2021, new ownership relaunched Bushmaster Firearms International, promising a return to quality manufacturing and American-made materials. The company is still finding its footing under this new ownership, and early signs show real effort to fix what went wrong. But rebuilding trust takes years, not months, and the shadow of the Freedom Group era still hangs over every rifle that rolls off the line today. Number 8 is Colt. This one surprises a lot of people because Colt built the very first AR-15 rifles and manufactured the M16 for the United States military for decades. Colt is not a bad company. It is a legendary one, but legends can fall behind, and that is exactly what happened. In 2013, Colt lost its long-standing military contract to produce the M4 carbine, the modern version of the AR-15 used by American soldiers. Colt had supplied nearly the entire M4 program up to that point, with the United States Army acquiring roughly 500,000 of these carbines since the program began in the early 1990s. Losing that role was not a small business setback. It was the end of an era. The reason was reliability. Soldiers in Afghanistan and Iraq reported that the rifle was prone to malfunctioning in dusty, harsh field conditions, and the Army decided it was time to open the contract up to other manufacturers instead of relying on Colt alone. For a company whose entire identity was built on military trust, losing that contract was a massive blow. Colt still holds foreign military contracts today, producing M4 and M4A1 style carbines for allied nations, including Jordan, Morocco, and several others through foreign military sales agreements. The company continues to compete for defense work and remains a respected name in firearms history. But the domestic loss changed how many shooters and experts view the brand. On the civilian side, Colt rifles today are solid, dependable, and backed by over a century of manufacturing experience. They are not bad rifles by any stretch, but when you compare them to newer companies that were built from the ground up specifically to solve the problems Colt struggled with, Colt starts to look like a company living off its old reputation rather than pushing the platform forward. That is why a brand with this much history still lands in the bottom half of this list. Number 7 is Aero Precision. For years, Aero Precision was one of the best value picks in the entire AR-15 market. Builders loved their receivers because the tolerances were tight and the parts fit together with almost no extra work needed. Their complete rifles offered excellent machining and modern features at prices well below premium brands. If you were building your first AR-15, Aero Precision was often the first name recommended to you. Then in May of 2026, everything changed. Aero Precision, along with its barrel-making division Ballistic Advantage, entered receivership in Washington state. A court-appointed receiver was brought in to manage the company's assets while it deals with serious financial trouble. This is not the same as a full bankruptcy, but it is a clear sign of a company under heavy financial stress. Two related brands, Stag Arms and VG6 Precision, entered the same receivership process at the same time, all connected under the same private equity ownership group. A receivership works differently than a bankruptcy. Instead of a court simply liquidating the company, a receiver is brought in to manage daily operations and assets, while creditors sort out what they are owed. Creditors were given a strict deadline to file claims, a clear sign of how serious the financial situation has become behind the scenes. The company has stated publicly that manufacturing and shipping are still active, and customer orders are still being processed, just slower than usual. Aero Precision has also said the situation reflects a transition toward new ownership rather than a shutdown. Whether Aero Precision comes out the other side of this stronger, gets sold to new owners, or fades away entirely is still an open question as this video is being made. Because of that uncertainty hanging over the brand right now, Aero Precision lands right in the middle of this list. Great parts, real value, but a company whose future is genuinely unclear. Number 6 is Smith & Wesson. Smith & Wesson is one of the most recognized names in American firearms, and that recognition carries real weight. Their M&P 15 Sport Series was built to answer one simple question: can a major, trusted manufacturer build an honest, no-frills AR-15 that regular people can actually afford? The answer turned out to be yes. The Sport 3 model runs reliably, holds up to regular range use, and comes backed by a company with real customer service and a long track record of standing behind its products. It is not a rifle built for elite operators or long-range precision shooters. It is a rifle built for the person walking into their first gun store, wanting something dependable without breaking the bank. Where Smith & Wesson lands in the middle of this ranking is simple. Their AR-15s are honest and solid. but they are not trying to be premium. The materials and features are basic by design, with a standard barrel and simple furniture rather than upgraded parts. You get exactly what you pay for, nothing more and nothing less. That said, nothing about this rifle feels cheap in a way that raises safety concerns. It simply does not carry the extra machining, coatings, and testing that push other brands higher up this list. For a huge number of first-time AR-15 buyers, that honesty is exactly what they need. It just does not compete with brands built specifically to push the platform's limits. Number 5 is Palmetto State Armory. Palmetto State Armory, often just called PSA, changed the AR-15 market by making these rifles affordable to people who never thought they could own one. Their most basic models start at prices that seemed impossible just a decade ago. And yet these rifles function. They cycle reliably after a short break-in period, and PSA backs every rifle with a lifetime warranty against defects. The complaints about PSA are real, but they tend to focus on smaller issues. Some customers report finish flaws or shipping delays during high-demand periods. A small number report parts that arrived without proper coating or finish. These issues happen more often than they do with premium brands, which makes sense given the price difference and the sheer volume PSA produces. But PSA's customer service has earned a strong reputation for making things right. If something is wrong with your rifle, they typically replace it fast, often without even asking for the broken part back first. What earns PSA the number 5 spot is the balance they have struck. Their premium models, built with better barrel steel and improved coatings, can genuinely compete with rifles costing 2 or 3 times as much. Independent testing has shown their basic models holding accuracy around 2 minutes of angle using ordinary bulk ammunition, which is a completely respectable result for a rifle at this price point. Number 4 is Ruger. Ruger has been making firearms in America for over 70 years, and that experience shows in everything they build. Their AR-556 line is often called the safest bet under $1,000, and for good reason. Every Ruger rifle that leaves the factory is properly assembled, properly head-spaced, and properly finished. There is no wondering if you got a good one or a bad one off the line. Ruger's quality control process is consistent from rifle to rifle. The AR-556 MPR model punches well above its price point. It comes with a cold hammer-forged barrel, which is a manufacturing process that produces incredibly durable and accurate barrels built to last through heavy use. It also includes a genuine 2-stage trigger and a free-floating handguard, features that would normally cost hundreds of dollars to add after the fact on a cheaper rifle. Ruger includes them from the factory, already installed correctly. Ruger rifles will never win any style contests. The furniture is basic and the overall look is more utilitarian than flashy. Nobody buys a Ruger AR-15 to show it off on social media. Number 3 is Knight's Armament Company. Knight's Armament, often shortened to Cake, sits in rare territory. This is a company that builds rifles trusted by some of the most demanding military units in the world. Their manufacturing standards go far beyond typical military specification, which most people just call mil-spec. KC rifles and rifle components are known for precision machining and materials chosen specifically to survive extreme conditions over thousands of rounds fired. What makes KC different from a lot of premium brands is the reason they exist in the first place. This company was not built to chase civilian sales or grow a big social media following. It was built to solve real problems for people whose lives depend on their equipment working correctly every single time. That mission has shaped every decision the company makes, from material selection down to the smallest internal parts. Because of this focus, KC products come at a serious price, often well above what most civilian shooters are willing or able to spend. This is part of why they land at number 3 instead of number 1. Incredible quality, built with a level of precision that few companies can match, but priced for a very specific type of buyer. For anyone who can afford it, or anyone who simply wants to understand what true top-tier manufacturing looks like. Knight's Armament represents one of the highest standards in the entire industry. Number 2 is Bravo Company Manufacturing, known to most shooters simply as BCM. BCM has one of the most respected origin stories in the entire firearms industry. Founder Paul Buffoni, a United States Marine veteran, started the company in 2003 out of his own garage in Heartland, Wisconsin. His goal was simple and specific: build components that actually met true military specification, at a time when that phrase was already being overused and misunderstood across the industry. Buffoni wanted to build parts good enough to trust with someone's life, because that is exactly what they would be used for. That mission never changed as the company grew. BCM rifles and parts are trusted by United States military special operations units, by the Department of Homeland Security, and by countless law enforcement agencies across the country. Every single upper receiver that BCM produces gets test-fired before it ever ships to a customer. That is not a marketing claim. That is a physical step built into their production process, adding time and cost specifically to catch problems before they reach the buyer. BCM built its reputation on a simple internal philosophy: no shortcuts, no substitutions, no half measures. Components are shot peened using a very specific method and time frame to make sure the metal is hard enough to last without becoming brittle and prone to cracking under stress. Number 1 is Daniel Defense. At the very top of this list sits Daniel Defense, and the reasons go far beyond marketing or reputation alone. This is a company that manufactures almost all of its own parts in-house. That includes bolt carrier groups, barrels, rail systems, and furniture. Very few AR-15 manufacturers can say that. Most companies buy components from outside suppliers and simply assemble the final rifle. Daniel Defense controls the entire process from raw material to finished product, which means they control quality at every single step instead of hoping a supplier got it right. That control shows up in the details. Daniel Defense secured its first military contract with United States Special Operations Command back in 2005, specifically supplying rail systems to Navy SEAL units. Since then, the company has completed over 100 government contracts spanning the Pentagon, the State Department, and multiple federal agencies. Their flagship rifle, the DDM-4V7, is considered duty-grade quality, meaning it is built to the same standard as rifles issued to professional military and law enforcement units, not scaled down for civilian sale. The DDM-4V7 comes with a cold hammer forged barrel, fully ambidextrous controls, so the rifle works equally well for right and left-handed shooters, all while maintaining the rifle's accuracy under that added stress and weight.